haven't had a good Maryland politics rant in a while. And I don't guess it's really politics, but I think it's Maryland policy. I have been a notary for about 15 years, going on 16 years now. Every 4 years, I have to renew my notary. It was about 2 years ago. New rules went into place for renewing your notary. So at the time, I told my daughter, hey, go get your notary before these rules go into place. Your notary is good for 4 years, at least in the state of Maryland. We do a fair number of notaries at the hardware store. My daughter does a whole lot more because she's there, and that's why I wanted her to get them, because I was the only one around in our town that was accessible for doing notaries for a long time. And so I would get calls in the field. You know, I'm on a tractor or a combine, and the hardware store would call me and say, hey, somebody's here for a notary. Can you come do this? Well, at the time, the maximum we could charge was $2 for one notary. And so it really wasn't worth my time to jump off of the tractor or the combine and run up to the hardware store to do this notary for $2. So we got to the point, hey, you need to make an appointment. Don't just show up at the store expecting to get a notary. So then when these new rules were going into effect for renewing your notary, that's when I told my daughter, hey, get your notary before the new rules go into effect. She's there 5 days a week. So then now people can just walk in most of the time and get a notary, and my daughter will do that for them. That's not the rant. So the rant is my notary expires July this year. And so now I fall under these new rules. So one of the new rules is you have to take a class to renew your notary, or even now to become a notary. And I don't know if this is just a Maryland thing, or I think it's a Maryland thing. I don't think it's a nationwide federal thing. It's a Maryland thing. So my notary's up for renewal. I got the notice from the state, hey, your notary's up for renewal. If you want to renew it, you need to take this class. Initially, when they started this 2 years ago, there was only one vendor that was approved to give the class. So it's an online class that you do. There was only one vendor approved. It cost $100 to do this. Now, mind you, I said we could only charge $2 for a notary, but that was 15 years ago when I started. That has changed. So I called my elected representative and I said, this is bullshit. I said, why are you all passing legislation or allowing the office to change policy, the Secretary of State's office to change policy for something that we can only charge $2 for, and now you're making us take a class that we got to pay $100 for, and if you don't do that many notaries to begin with, then it's not worth your time. But more and more documents these days require a notarized signature. So you're making it tough on the consumer to get a notarized signature. Even your own bank sometimes will not notarize certain documents. I said, it's just bullshit that we don't need to go through this hassle. Basically, all I'm doing is verifying that the name on the document that you're signing, that you are that person. Show me your license, and I say, yep, looks like you. I watch you sign it. I put my stamp on there. You give me $2. Why do we need a class? Okay, so Sunday morning, I'm sitting at my desk and saying, okay, I need to take this class. I need to get this notary certificate so I can get my notary renewed. Okay, we now have more choices of who we can take this class from. I think there were maybe 4 or 5 choices of approved vendors to take this class from. So I go into this thinking less than an hour. I should be able to run through this online thing and be done. $65. So I pay my $65 to this company I've never heard of, but they make it sound official, you know, the official U.S. Notary Association, blah, blah, blah. Pay my $65. I get the link to watch the class. So it's a pre-recorded class. The voices were okay to listen to. None of that AI voice that I can't stand anyway. Class drags on and it drags on. And there are questions you have to answer after every couple of segments. 1 hour and 26 minutes for this online class. So I wasted my Sunday morning taking a notary class that I had to pay $65 for. So there was one point, my daughter and I have argued about this, or she's argued with other people about it. So when my daughter got her notary and she went to Staples to order her stamp, the first stamp that came back to her had her notary expiration date, the month, day, and year. And I said, you shouldn't have the date on it because you're going to keep renewing this. So does this mean you have to buy a stamp? I said, the date isn't required. So she goes back to Staples. She argues with the woman. And the woman said, no, we have to put the date on it. So my daughter pulls out the handbook with the law in it that says, see, right here, it says the date is not required on the stamp. And the woman at Staples says, well, it's our policy. We have to have the date on it. So my daughter says, okay, so what you're telling me is I have to come in every 4 years. Every time I renew my notary, I have to come in and get a new stamp from you. She said, that's a money grab. She said, this is BS. It shouldn't be this way. I've had the same stamp for the last 15 years because there is no date on there. You just write your date on the document of when your commission expires. So finally, Staples compromised with my daughter and they gave her a stamp with just the month and the year and then 20 with a dash so she can fill in the last 2 numbers of the year. So that was the compromise for her. So as I'm watching this online class, this spot comes up about the notary stamp and what is required to have on it. So on the slide, it shows the date, the expiration date on the stamp. And so I'm listening real close and it says the expiration date is optional, but they don't really highlight that. They just kind of skim over and it says the expiration date is optional. I said, oh, let me go back and listen to this again. So I rewound, listened to it again. Yes, the expiration date is optional. I get to the end of the module and there's a couple of questions that I have to answer. One of the questions is concerning what are the requirements of the stamp? What do you have to have on the stamp? So there was a multiple choice question. And so I picked a question that said something about it didn't include the date on the stamp. I got the question wrong. It says wrong. Well, it didn't say that. It just flashed up on the screen. Wrong answer, and then it gives you the right answer. The right answer was, it also has to include the date, your name, your county, and your expiration date. So even this vendor has gotten it wrong after they just told me 4 minutes earlier, no, the date is optional, and I'd have to look at the law to make sure it's written that way, but I'm almost sure it's written that way in the law. So anyway, hour and 26 minutes later, yes, I'm done. They send me the link for the certificate. I save the certificate. I go to the Secretary of State's website, put in all my information. Well, that's another $25 fee. So now I'm $90 into this. Okay, $90 into it to renew my thing. Sent the information off. In the meantime, they give you a link. Hey, if you would, everything is now online. But if you would like our PDF notary handbook, here's the link to the PDF version that you can order for $28. Well, you gave me a free book 15 years ago when I got my first notary. You handed me the book when I was sworn in as a notary. Here's the handbook. Guidelines on things you can and can't do as a notary. Now you're telling me everything is online, so it's an electronic PDF that costs you absolutely nothing, and you're going to charge me $28 to download the PDF? I've got to go back and read that again, but that's the way I read it. So I didn't even click on the link because I'm not paying $28 for a PDF, so I could be wrong about that part, but we're not done yet. Okay, so that was Sunday. Yesterday was Monday. I get an email that said, your notary renewal has been approved. You can now go to your courthouse and be sworn in as a notary. And oh, by the way, you need to take $11 with you. That's what the courthouse is going to want. $65 for the online class. It really isn't necessary. Yes, I learned a little bit from there, but I could have read the handbook and learned it as well. But $65 now a requirement, $25 application fee, and now $11 for the clerk of the court to swear me in to get my new certificate that will be good for 4 more years. Okay, back to the $2. So I had argued with my elected representative a couple years ago. He said, oh, you can charge $4 now. Whoopee, I can charge $4, but you're charging me $100 for the class. Okay, now we're down to $65 for the class, $25 registration fee, $11 clerk of the court fee, $28 PDF version for the handbook. But according to this class this online class I just took, the law has now changed that we are allowed to charge up to $8 for a notary. Whoopee! Okay, finally we've come ahead a little bit. So yeah, it's not difficult. But why that $2 fee has now gone from $2 to $8 is because the state of Maryland has required all these other things of us, especially this class at $65 to $100 that you now have to take this class. So I was just looking in my book of notaries, 15 years. I think I'm on page 27. And what is it? I didn't look at the number. Is it 10 lines per page, or maybe 15 lines? So at 10 lines, I've done 270 notaries over the last 15 years. I mainly do it as a service. A lot of notaries I'll do for free, for friends or for good customers that come in. If I'm not going out of my way, for some of our local charitable organizations that need notaries, I'm not charging them. But that's why the cost of everything is going up, is because all of these freaking stupid regulations that the state of Maryland puts on us and that the federal government puts on us. And they wonder why nothing is affordable these days. Why don't we have affordable housing? Well, because I have to have a freaking sprinkler system. I have to have a freaking smoke detector in every freaking room. And I got to have the house raised up 5 feet off of the ground so it doesn't flood. And, I got to have insulation that's 12 inches thick in every single wall. And in the center walls, it's got to be 14 inches thick. But why can't we get affordable housing? Oh, yeah, your gas stove can no longer be a gas stove. It's got to be an electric stove, and you can't burn wood because of the smoke into the atmosphere. Why can't we have affordable housing? Government officials, elected officials, I don't understand. Why is there no affordable housing? And then people looking for a notary don't understand, why can't I find a notary? I just have this simple MVA document. I'm trying to transfer tags or transfer a title or do something simple that years ago didn't require a notary, and now it requires a notary. And then you come in and you have 5 documents that you need notarized, and I tell you, oh, that's $40. And then if I copy anything for you, I can charge you more for the copy fee. And you look at me and say, what? You just signed your name 5 times on these documents and you're charging me $40? Well, yeah. Go talk to your elected representatives. Call your elected officials and complain to them. That's why nothing is affordable anymore. Serenity now. It's pretty damn hot today. Well, actually, let's go in and see how hot it is. And today is not the worst of it. It's supposed to, okay, you can't talk and type in your code here. There we go. Friday, Saturday is supposed to be the worst of it. And right now, oh, this isn't too bad down here. 82 degrees, 65% humidity. This does not give me the heat index, but that humidity is up there pretty good. But we have got a breeze blowing. Breeze out of the south, almost 8 miles an hour. And that's been the thing. The last couple of days, this wind has been blowing, 5 to 10, there goes an eagle, 5 to 10 miles an hour every single day. So not only are we, oh, there's 2 of them down there. You can't see that far away, but yep, there's another one, number 3, flying across there. Oh, maybe another one over there. That's 4 of them. So one or 2 here, 2 right there. Okay, so yeah, it is quite dry right now, and no rain in the forecast until Sunday. So things are really going to start hurting this week with the heat, the wind, the dry weather, the no rain. Man, and things were really starting to look good around here. So here's my corn here. So this was the last field I planted. This has only been in the ground, what, a week and... when did I plant this? Maybe, I think it'll be 2 weeks on Thursday. Okay, so it not looking too bad, but it's going to start curling up here because it is dry. Let me pull out my knife here and let's dig down here. I'll show you how much moisture there's not here. I need a new knife. So I'm going down, that's an inch and a half, and you don't see any. There's maybe a little bit, that's a little darker there, but there's nothing down there. Yeah, it's dry. I had to go get some chemicals this morning. I've got to spray these beans out here. These were the last I planted. They're not looking too bad. So when I was in there getting my chemicals this morning, the extension agent was in there and he said, I was just down your way yesterday. He said, we were testing the water in the creek for the salinity, the salt levels in it. I guess my neighbor over here was thinking about irrigating out of the creek. I think he's got some corn right across the creek there that he was thinking about irrigating out of the creek. So they did a test on the water. It's just too salty apparently for corn. I guess corn cannot stand any salt water. What did the extension agent say? Barley was first. You can, in the order that you could put certain levels of salt water on crops. Barley, no, it wasn't sorghum. Oh my God, there was 3 or 4 different crops he named. Was it barley and hay and something else, and then maybe wheat, and then soybeans, and then corn was at the bottom of the list. Corn just, yep, corn cannot stand any salt. Years ago, when we used to raise tobacco in all of these fields here, we had a terrible drought year, and my grandfather's pond, he had dug a pond down on his farm. That pond had run dry, so he actually was pumping water out of the creek onto the tobacco. It seemed to do okay. We didn't have, I don't think he had any problems with it. I think we pumped some here. We had this field in tobacco. Yes, I think we may have pumped water out of the creek as well on our tobacco. I don't remember it being an issue. Now, you can't do it every day, but to get you maybe through a week, it worked for us then. Okay, but yes, this is what I got to spray. I got lamb's quarter coming up here. That looks like the big one. I'm sure there's some morning glories out here as well. A little bit of grass. Yep, there's a morning glory there. So I'm going to pull the sprayer out. I hate to spray in the heat of the day like this, but I'll pull it out, get it all ready. Got to go down and get the tractor, hook it up, get it all ready, so I can spray first thing in the morning before it gets too hot. I hate to spray when it's under stress like this, but well, what's going to happen is the weeds are going to start sucking the moisture out, and then the soybeans won't get it. So, you know, it's a 50-50 thing there. Get rid of the grass so it doesn't suck the moisture out, so the beans don't have it, but then spraying that chemical on the beans is going to stress the beans out. It looks like some of this corn maybe is twisting up a little bit. Yeah, a little bit of twisting there maybe. Yeah, a little bit of twisting there. Okay. I did see some corn today that is starting to tassel. There was some early corn planted about 8 miles north of me, but man, with this heat, that's not good that it's tasseling now. All right, rant is over, update is over. I had to get that out of my system. My daughter and I, we were just talking about it, so I had to get it out. Okay, that's enough of me rambling and ranting, so I'm gonna say see ya. See ya.